Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kyler Canestra.
And I'm Shaheen Samavati. We're your hosts of the Content Mix podcast.
Today, we're going to be talking all about social media content, and specifically how to create content for advertising on social media that gets you the results you're looking for.
So we have just the person with us today to shine light on this topic, our new head of project management at Vera Content, Joana Aina Sánchez. She has a background in managing paid social media campaigns and was previously projects director at a performance marketing agency.
Welcome to the show, Joana.
Thank you. It's great to be here and great to join the team at Vera. It's been amazing getting to know all the awesome team members and clients over the past few weeks.
Yeah, it definitely has been. It's been great to work with you so far, Joana. So let's jump into the topic. First of all, how important do you think social media advertising is nowadays in a brand's overall marketing mix?
Well, I think paid advertising is totally a must in every marketing mix. Like if you have a killer content strategy and crazy good organic reach, a paid strategy can help you boost your conversions and get to the right target. And if, like most brands, you struggle with algorithms and your reach just continues to plummet, finally you'll need paid advertising to make yourself noticeable and relevant and connect with your audience. In the end, social media platforms are like a motor road to your goals. Your content is the car and paid they are the fool.
I really like that analogy, Joanna. Now, we've talked about how you've joined us. You're working with us on the team, and we're so happy to have you. But could you elaborate a bit more about your background and kind of what experience you have working with social media advertising?
Sure. Well, I've always liked to describe myself as a journalist turned into marketer because I think that pretty much sums my career journey. I started with digital communications, then focused on social media management and strategy. And at some point, it became natural for me to bring it full circle with email marketing and paid advertising. I've been curating 360-degree marketing strategies for brands in various agencies over the past 8 years or so, with a strong focus on social media and also Meta and Google Ads.
That's super interesting too, because kind of like Shaheen's background as well. She was a journalist and she ended up in the field that
we shared that.
Which is really nice.
So going back into the topic of social media advertising, well, you were kind of saying that that advertising is really essential in the marketing mix. Do you think that that's true for every company, or does it depend on the size? Or can you go a little more in detail on that?
Yeah, well, it can be beneficial for every kind of company. Like if you are a big-sized company, probably for your goals, it will be a must-have a paid social strategy. But if you are a little company, you should not pass the chance that a little investment in paid ads could give you to boost your results. Like even if you're a small company, you should invest a bit because in the end, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, social media platforms are kind of money makers. So if you really, really want to boost your results, you should invest a bit. That doesn't mean that you should indulge on your organic content strategy. That's basic, and it's what will help you engage your existing audience and grow your audience, even when the paid ads do their magic. Like if your organic content is not good, they will check your profile, but they will likely not stay. But definitely, even if you are a big company or a small company, I would invest having paid ads in mind at some point of your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So I was curious, like, what do you think is more important when it comes to paid ads? Like how well it's targeted or the content of the ad itself?
Well, this is a very, very good question. Of course, the easy answer is both. And an ideal strategy, an ideal ad has great content targeted to the right audience at the right moment and on the right platform. But if you really, really, really want to force me to choose one, which is difficult, I'd go with content, especially, as I said, now that we are quickly advancing towards a cookieless world where users keep on opting out of being tracked, we advertisers need to stay very creative and think outside the box to ensure we keep our ads relevant. Even if you have the perfect target audience, you won't be likely getting any good results if your ad isn't catchy and interesting. But if you send a very good piece of content to a broader audience, you will probably receive interesting results and then be able to develop and follow up with a more targeted campaign.
Yeah, that makes
Very
sense.
good point.
Now, I'm just curious too, because we're talking a lot about, paid ads versus organic posts, and I love everything about language and writing. And I'm just curious to know if there's like a different approach that we should take when it comes to writing like paid ads, for example, or organic posts, and what tactics and types of content have you seen work well for each like content type or like advertising types?
Well, there's a different approach, yes. What you always have to keep in mind is that while organic content is usually created for branding purposes, paid content is used to drive sales or leads. Therefore, organic should ensure relevance and quality without forgetting that you're on a social media platform, and therefore your content needs to be short and very, very graphic to perform well, like no long texts or any of that. When creating organic content, what you're aiming for. You're aiming for a finger tap on the save or share buttons. On the other hand, your paid content needs to focus on gaining your own audience full attention. It has to be short, catchy, and relevant with a very, very clear call to action. And I would say like that's the most important thing. You have like 3 seconds or less to make the user stop, read, and click. For this, it is a best practice to fine-tune the organic content that has worked well for you and adapt it to these paid ads best practices to ensure overall success.
Yeah, and I think that's like the most difficult part, I think, about paid ads is that you only have such a limited amount of space to say something, and it really catches people's attention. So I think as a writer, it's very difficult to work with such little like word count, for example, for writing on it. And do you have like examples of like a paid ad, maybe campaign that you worked on with content that worked well, or anything from your experience you could share?
Well, I remember the time that we created this video, like it was an organic, it was a video for the feed, so it was organic content, and it was super engaging and performed like really, really well on our social media platform. So someone at some point decided just to like launch it as an ad and boost it and expect the same results. It didn't have any good results because it started with a very long line that had nothing to do. It was a catchy phrase, but not catchy enough. And the audience saw it and was like, oh, what's this about? So here, I mean, where's the importance of adapting your content, your organic content to your ads? We grabbed the same video, changed the order of the sentences, so that it said the most important things first and then like developed, and it turned into a success immediately. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good example because kind of sum ups like even though you have a perfect organic content that's performing super well, you truly need to adapt it to make it effective for paid ads.
That's awesome. So it's really good to keep in mind, right? I think a lot of times we might think that you might need just one content for organic content and you can't use it for paid ads, but it's all about like thinking outside of the box and really like adapting the content to work in a different format that's really going to grab the attention of your audience.
Exactly. Yes. And you have to keep that in mind. Like if you're lucky, you have 3 seconds to catch the attention. So you have to work with that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, actually, like speaking of the topic of promoted posts, I mean, this is basically an organic post that you decided to get in front of more eyes by promoting it. When does it make sense to do a promoted post versus like a specific ad? And like what kind of different goals might be there for one or the other?
Yeah, well, promoted posts are great if what you want to do is grow your profiles. Like that's what I would aim for promoted posts. With promoted posts, basically you're looking for increasing your reach and if you're lucky and your content is good, increasing your audience. For any other specific purposes, I would always recommend like specific ads. Even if you want to drive traffic to your website, of course you need a traffic ad. If you want to drive sales, in that case, forget about promoted posts. You definitely need a traffic ad. If you want to, for example, promoted posts are really good when you are not getting a very good engagement and you need to kind of remind your audience that you're there. You promote your post, and so you make sure that you really appear on your audiences or on your existing audience, on your followers feed and stories. Or you can also target to lookalikes to appear also on the feed and stories of those people who are like similar to your followers. That's what I recommend promoted posts. I see that in some cases promoted posts are really overused. Like when you really don't know how to create a paid ad strategy, promoted post is like very easy. And I think sometimes it's a mistake because it serves like very specific purposes. But if you invest too much in promoted posts, then you'll be missing a chance to do great things or to achieve better results, investing that same money in another type of campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when it comes to goals for like the specific ads, I mean, oftentimes we see people like promoting downloadables or different, like some kind of, like you mentioned, like there needs to be like a call to action that goes along with the ad. Do you think that like depending on the type of business, like, I mean, I know a topic that we've talked about before is like, how do you decide between how much to invest in like one type of performance marketing versus another, like Google ads versus social media? And like, I guess like what types of goals do you think work best for social media? Like, because I feel like it's kind of, the people on social media aren't necessarily looking for you, right? So like, so it really has to be this content that like gets their attention and makes them like impulsively just like, oh, I'm going to click on that, right?
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think social media should be part always of a broader strategy. Like, of course, it depends on the budget, but ideally, you have a full funnel strategy, and social media is just one of the channels of that full funnel strategy. Like, social media is important, but oftentimes I've seen clients coming to me like, hey, we want to invest on social media ads. And then you see their product and it's like, oh, but this is not the right platform for you. You kind of might get results here, but you should be focusing your budget, say, in Google ads, because it serves better to, like, you want to sell this product that's very niche and very specific, or maybe you would do better in shopping campaigns, in Google ad shopping campaigns, than in meta ads. Nonetheless, it is true that paid ads in social media are very good for lead magnets, info products, agencies that offer certain service, consultants. That's very good to, first of all, give a first impact of the product itself to an audience that, and it's quite easy to target marketers and this kind of professional social media. So it's a good first approach, like to see who is interested in your content, and then kill it with a remarketing strategy that's a lead generator. Like, I show you the ad, I see if you tap or not, or don't tap, I see how many seconds of this ad you actually view, and then after that, in 3 days, I launch this remarketing campaign, and we'll be like, hey, get a 10% discount, get a 10% discount on this course, or subscribe to my newsletter and you might get this free product. So yeah, I mean, I think summing up, it's social media ads are not the best for everyone, although are like the easiest platform to start with. But for agencies, lead magnets, etc., they perform really good.
Okay, so you're referring to retargeting, right? So that's like when the same content is showing up to an audience that's already kind of shown interest in one of your ads or has visited your website, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, retargeting really is the best option because it allows you to interact with someone that has already showed interest in your ad. And targeting your audience is not that easy anymore, as privacy policies are getting broader, and governments and institutions are like limiting how specific you can be in gathering information about your audience. And also, as we mentioned before, people are opting out of being tracked. Like, increasingly opting out of being tracked. So it is very important to focus on retargeting strategies, because you can still gather some information based on the IP of the client, etc. So it's very important, basically, because you are addressing your ad and your money to someone is interested in your product somehow, because they have already interacted with you, even in an ad or your website, etc. So yeah, that's very powerful, and totally should keep it in mind.
And maybe it's something that it's timely to take advantage of this now, because we don't know when the rules might change even more, right?
Yes, exactly. While you can retarget, do it, because it's extremely effective.
For sure. Now, while we're on the topic of social media advertising, obviously, I think in our experience at VeriContent, I feel like a lot of our clients are sticking mostly to Facebook and Instagram, which are the two main meta platforms, and we've been speaking about that now. But I also feel like, I feel like I'm young, I'm turning 30 this month, but like, I still feel like there's like other platforms out there that I don't connect with in my generation. And I feel a big difference, like TikTok, for example. Now, in your opinion, Joanna, do you think like that the meta platforms like Instagram and Facebook are the best for social media targeting, or are there other platforms that we need to keep in mind? Maybe like TikTok, which I think it's like totally distant from me, but it could be important in the future.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard because I'm very young too, and still I feel like there's a generational gap for me and TikTok, although I'm just 31. So, but definitely, keeping TikTok out of your strategy is a complete mistake. Like Facebook and Instagram are the most popular social channels on a global scale. But TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you should totally keep them in your strategy. TikTok is extremely relevant for younger audiences, not only teens, like young audiences in general. And well, like to what end someone's young, it's very hard to define. And what by that I mean that a broader audience is on TikTok right now, and where people go like to have fun. So you should definitely consider placing your ads there. Also, LinkedIn should go your go-to for professional services. And YouTube, YouTube is like a miniature cinema screen. They are all incredibly effective when well used. For example, TikTok and LinkedIn, it's true that they are very specific in terms of targeting, but here you see how important and relevant content is, like good content addressed to this specific audience that's on TikTok and LinkedIn can do magic. YouTube, it's quite expensive, and any ad that you run there needs to be backed by a broader strategy that can full and support your results there, because on itself is very expensive. But if your content and target are good, the results there can be magic.
Right. And on YouTube, you only have like those first 5 seconds a lot of times before to skip the ad. So you really have to be like creative, no? In those types of campaigns.
Yeah, no, that's the magic with YouTube. Like in Instagram and Facebook, you don't get to do super good ads, like super creative ads. You just need to do something that's very straight to the point, because you know that you have a second. But on YouTube, you can get between 5 and 20 full seconds of people's attention. And that's a lot. Even 5 seconds, the 5 seconds you get before someone can actually tap skip the ad, that's a lot. Allows you a lot of creativity, allows like introducing yourself in a very different way, in a catchier way to the audience. And when you get the full 20 seconds, that's when your video shows like interrupts the video that the user is watching and shows like in there. I mean, that's fantastic and allows you to do great things. I guess also is because of that YouTube is most expensive, because as I said, it's like a mini TV screen, saving the distance.
The whole production behind it as well, and competition between the companies to get the slots.
Totally. Like on Facebook, you like obviously it's best practice to use video, but you're not getting audio most of the time. Like a lot of people have their audio turned off, but with YouTube, you've got their full attention, audio, video. You're not seeing anything else.
Exactly. And I have to say, and that's like my own harvest, that although video is supposed to be like the top content on Facebook and Instagram, for me usually graphics work better, because it's just easier to give your message to the audience. Like I prefer a slideshow on Instagram stories, like 3 images, one after the other, because you get to show 3 messages with just the price of 1 click. I prefer those images rather than video, because you have to be very, very good, or you have to find someone that's like really, really, really into spending the whole 3 seconds that takes watching a video actually. And that's not easy, because people usually binge watch Instagram stories and they're like tap, tap, tap. That people like tap, 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 tap. Well, it's the same. So yeah, I mean, definitely.
Well, it's like on those platforms, it's like you're making the video for the sake of getting them to stop scrolling and read the text, but oftentimes they're not actually going to watch the video. So the quality of the video is less important than it would be like on YouTube. But like I see just because there's a moving video, okay, what is that? I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to necessarily watch the video because of the autoplay feature that you have on like Facebook.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I feel that I mean, for Instagram and Facebook, usually animations work well, because as you said, like you see something moving and you look at that, but you need like all the information to flash in 1-2 seconds to get the attention. YouTube is different. YouTube truly, like the same ads that you see on TV, you see them on YouTube, like a shorter version, but you see that same type of ad, because advertisers know that there they have like the full attention of the spectator. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Totally. So, I mean, we're already getting into this question, but I wanted to ask you, like, how different do you think your content approach needs to be for advertising on different social media platforms? I think we've covered YouTube, but yeah, in general, do you think it's necessary to create unique content for each platform that you're on?
In the 99% of the situations, I would say yes.
Okay.
And at the same time, you should even consider using one platform or the other, or even better, like a multi-platform strategy, totally depending on what are your goals. The first thing to keep in mind always is who is on the other side of the screen, and most important, what are they doing? Like, are they doing a quick read through your LinkedIn feed while at work? Are they doing an Instagram scroll while waiting for the metro or watching a series at night? Are they binge watching videos on TikTok? On Instagram, the user is ready to tap or scroll, and as we said, like jump to the next post within seconds. So basically, you have 1 second less to catch their attention and then a click. With that in mind, also video is the king of content, as we said, and it's definitely a very, very good option for an Instagram feed. I prefer images or even animations with a short, catchy, and straight to the point copy for Instagram stories. YouTube, we said that it's more classic to TV, because you get the full attention for like between 5 and 20 seconds, and that's a lot. TikTok or LinkedIn will work for very specific purposes. For example, TikTok doesn't even allow you to use images. You have to use only videos on TikTok. LinkedIn, it's very expensive for small budgets, but they are both when you want to generate awareness, and they are great lead generators. So yes, summing up, you need to create a different kind of content for each of the platforms, and use each of the platforms thinking of what the user is doing at that moment, and if that serves your purpose.
Yeah.
I want one last thing on this topic, like on the different platforms. Like, I feel like a lot of our clients focus on meta platforms because they feel that it's like the best for, like, the most sophisticated, I guess, for targeting. Do you think that's the case? Are the other platforms catching up, or do you think Facebook and Instagram are still the best for like being able to really zoom in on like exactly who you want to target with your message?
Yes. Speaking of social media platforms, yes, except for LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn is excellent for business purpose. Like, if you are selling an info product, if you are like trying to sell your services as
B2B in general, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. For that, I would also recommend LinkedIn, and I've also seen LinkedIn work really well for insurance companies and these kind of things. Like, you are approaching people with a very serious mindset, because you are trying to sell like a huge insurance. So you go to people that, you know, are kind of busy and working in certain industries while they are working. So they are like more focused on this kind of serious things. Like, don't try to sell insurances at 10 in the night on Instagram because nobody's going to tap. So yes, I would say that Instagram and Facebook, I mean, they have a long trail of experience. So it's normal that brands and marketers feel more comfortable in those. It is true that TikTok is still very limited for segmentation options. And LinkedIn, like for certain brand purposes, you should really consider it. It is true that you need quite an investment. Like, don't go to LinkedIn with a budget that's less than 1,000 per month. But if you have that budget and your business is like in that spectrum, you should truly consider it because it works well.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting just to see how everything is evolving and changing. Like, I think of TikTok, for example, and how, like you said, it's not the best for segmentation, but it's for the music industry, for example. I guess it depends on the industry too. Like, it's really done crazy things for like artists who are unknown and suddenly their songs are number one around the world. Product placement in those videos too and stuff. So it's definitely, I feel like we're still figuring out TikTok, but it could be like the way of the future as well. Now, it really wouldn't be an episode of the content mix if I didn't try to squeeze in something about localization, because at our content, that's like our bread and butter. We really help different organizations and brands kind of break in to the European market and targeting different language markets as well. So for you, Joanna, in your experience, what do you consider the best practice or best practices for targeting different language markets? And do you think it's necessary to have a page for every language you advertise in? Because this is a question that we get probably on a weekly basis.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. At least each of the markets should have a page in its own language, as it will allow to take audience engagement and results to a whole new level. Usually a sale, like you get to sell your product after the user has had 7 interactions with your brand. So most likely after they see your, say, ad, they will visit your social media profile. If it's not in their language, well, in most of the cases, you can call that a missed shot and a total waste of money.
Right.
So yes, I mean, I would totally recommend investing in localization when it's expanding to new markets. It's a must to success.
And does that, like, would you say like for all platforms, across all platforms, you should be using like localized content in different languages, or are there some that are better than others?
Well, it totally depends on what's your strategy and what's your budget. Like, my approach would always be like, do the best you can with what you have. Like, if you have a really low budget, keep it short. Try to be in as many languages as possible, in as many platforms as possible, but prioritize, like, depending on the total budget you have, because creating content is not for free, selling ads is not for free. So in that case, I would recommend to prioritize, but my approach is always like, do good in one platform and then expand to other platforms. Like, think of who your audience is, think like, where can I find them, what platform they are using when I need them to be using it,
right?
And then do work with the hugest amount of resources that you can in that specific platform. When you have that under control and your results are killing it and you can expand, then go to other platforms. But yes, I mean, focus on doing very well in one platform.
Yeah, you don't want to stretch the budget too thin and then do not a good job in every platform.
Yeah.
Of course, I have strong opinions on this one. So I just will echo on what Joanna said about, like, I think like if you're creating an ad in a language, then you're like creating an expectation that you're going to be able to do business with that client in that language. So like, you not only have to have the ad, you have to have all the resources, probably your website, obviously the social media pages that are connected to that ad, as well as like your operations as well. Like, I mean, you should only advertise in a language if you also have customer support in that language and your salespeople can talk to them in that language. So it's part of a whole, I mean, if you're going to target a market, you kind of have to go all in on the language. It has to be
That's
like
so true.
part of the overall strategy.
Yes, I totally agree. And I've seen companies like kind of fail because of that, like launching ads in Spanish to moms between, grannies, and then having the website just in English. And of course, the ad performed very well, but the sales were a disaster. Like the bounce rate in the website, and when you saw the analytics, was a complete disaster because you are talking to someone and then you cannot address them in their language. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you, Shaheen.
Yeah, you definitely need to have customer support in that language. It'd be very awkward if the person got to your company and then they can't even like speak their own language that you reeled them in with.
Absolutely.
Exactly. But fortunately, we kind of come to the end of the interview. I feel like we've got a really good glimpse into life behind the scenes at Vera Content now with these conversations that we have about different clients and different approaches that we're trying to take with different accounts. But I'm sure Shaheen and I can both say that we're really excited to have Joana with us on our team. She's obviously a wealth of knowledge, so it's really been fun to learn from her, and we're really excited to see where we can go with having her on the team.
Totally agree. Thanks so much, Joana.
Thank you. It's been great being in your podcast, and looking forward to keep on working with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joana. And as always, we want to thank everybody for listening in. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, definitely check out veracontent.com/mix. And if you'd like to get in touch with any of us, or if you have any interesting topic for an upcoming episode, feel free to reach out to us at mix@veracontent.com. And keep tuning to the podcast for more interviews with content experts like Joana. So thank you, and see you all next time.